Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Tate Dezay, founder and host of Brother Breathe. Now, listen, September is Suicide Prevention Month, and I know suicide can be hard to discuss. It can be triggering for some, and even in some communities, it's still taboo. But it's important for us to discuss the hard things. And in this episode with Erica McSwain, a trained suicide prevention specialist, she is going to give us tips and advice, and she's going to give us her lived experiences as well as just ways that we can overcome suicide, whether it's for ourselves or whether it's for our friends or community members or family members. I want you to get a pen and pad, tune in, like, subscribe, and share this episode with someone that you know that needs it. Let them know that they are not alone and they do not have to suffer in silence. All right. So please be sure to like, subscribe, and share to this podcast and share it with a friend who is in need. All right, let's heal and let's breathe together. All right, what's up, everybody, and welcome to Brother Breathe, special edition for the month of September. We are pausing and reflecting, and of course, breathing together as we reflect on this month and its really relevance around Suicide Prevention Month. This is a time to raise awareness, break stigma, and center community care. Today, I am honored to be joined by Erica, a dedicated mental health professional. She's a crisis counselor and also a certified mental health coach and counselor, a suicide prevention specialist, and the founder of Club Kendrick Wellness Collective. I love that. A wellness initiative for women of color. They currently work at the Mirror Mental Health and bring such deep and safe space to this conversation, especially for underrepresented communities. I am truly honored and excited to have this conversation with you, Erica. Today, how are you feeling? How's your spirit today?
I'm doing well. I thank you for having me in the space. I'm excited.
I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that. And tell us a little bit about where you are right now and in terms of physicality, but also how your week has been and how this month has been as a suicide prevention month and as a suicide prevention specialist.
Sure. Well, currently I am pursuing doctoral studies in counseling at Old Dominion University in Norfolk, Virginia. So I've been in the Virginia area right now. My this month is very, very busy for me. I spend a lot of my time putting awareness about statistics and different highlights in suicide prevention awareness, but specifically for communities of color, because we're often underrepresented in the statistics and the facts.
I love that. I too am a PhD student. Yeah, and I understand your plight and your journey. I am a student at Morgan State University, so kind of like in the same area, the DMV. You're a little bit further down in Virginia,
Yes.
but it's all the same love. Um,
hmm
but let's start off with a quick icebreaker. If you had a soundtrack to your life right now, what would it be and why?
This is funny because I had to do this for class.
Okay.
It's definitely My House by Beyonce.
mm,
It was one thing when the song came out, but then when I saw it at the Cowboy Carter concert with the choreography, I was like, yes, that's it. Like taking your space, reclaiming your space. Like this is mine.
yeah,
I earned this. This is love. Don't mess up my
absolutely.
house.
I love that. And but that song didn't do much in terms of like, I don't know, because she didn't have it on the album, right? It was just a song that just she just released on its own.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was like at the end of the Renaissance movie, and I was in theaters. I was like, "Is this a new
Yeah.
song?" Then seeing
Yeah.
the choreography, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's it. That's
I
it."
love that. I love that. For me, if I had a soundtrack right now, it would one. I've been on this R&B kick. I don't know because I supposed to be going to go see Brandy and Monica soon, so I don't know if I'm trying to like catch up on all the songs that I missed or that I don't remember. But I'm still on this "Waiting to Exhale" like soundtrack. Like I just feel like it's the best soundtrack. But right now, like I've been really chilled. We're moving into the fall season, and you know the your energy kind of slows down a little bit.
Yeah.
We're taking it into school, high gear. And so I just love that album. And it just gives me so much peace. Now I ain't dealing with no like heartache or breakups right now.
I was
Thank
about to
God.
ask. I was like, "Are you okay?"
I am good, okay? But I just love it just really it can be on the background and just chilling and I can just listen to it, you know, Whitney Houston, Tony Braxton, just the greats. Babyface put his foot in that album. So
It's
for me,
definitely
it's just something I can just play every day, and it right now just resonated with me because I need some chillness in my life. So
I love that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But thank you for participating in that. And I encourage y'all to think about a soundtrack that you all love that you can just put on that can bring memories or make you feel like you are on top of the world. You have all the confidence that you need, especially during these times. But I just want to check in with you, Erica. The one just ask, how are you doing? What are you doing to take care of yourself during, you know, the hectic times of school, but also considering the the climate that we're in with the political and heightened rage that is happening right now.
I have had to turn my notifications off on certain things.
Mm,
Um, I actually am in a lot of spaces with communities of color, LGBT folks, and also like so posting things and then receiving like negative comments. I honestly have to like take a step back. And so what I do, I color. I have like this coloring book, and where I just do like play some lo-fi beats, no words to the music, and just like color. And it's an affirmations coloring book. And then I have a curse word one too, because sometimes you need something like pretty but serious. So it'll
right.
say F off or like you're effing
Mm,
ray of sunshine. And I love that for me, right?
yeah.
Just something really calm. And then I have to make sure I keep a schedule. Like there's
Mhm.
a set time, like no matter what happens at this time, it's like, all right, y'all, I gotta go. I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
just protect my mental, whether and having that time with remember who I'm doing this for. Even if it
Mhm.
doesn't make sense, it's like, okay, who am I doing this for? And then I go home and then I see my family and I'm like, that's who I'm
Surrender.
doing this for. Better world for you all. So
That's a good segue because I am interested, Erica, on what first drew you to mental health and more specifically to crisis counseling and suicide prevention work.
yeah. So as a member of the LGBTQ plus community, I had a very religious family who was not accepting of me, had a lot of different suicidal thoughts, and dealt with a lot of like bullying and things like that, and myself, and just growing up a gay black woman in the city. So
Mm,
navigating all of those spaces and truly trying to be myself led me to having my own crisis, mental health crisis. And I realized being in those spaces, they weren't really built with us in mind at all.
mm,
And so I'm like, oh, why are all the black people, the brown people, why are we all on the side? Like just having a
right.
little kiki. We're not going to group, we're having our own group together. And it's because the groups didn't really work for us. And that's what made me realize, okay, I was like, there's something here. And so as I started to get better and started to find my own care team, I started to realize like, oh, that not everybody has these type of spaces. Not everybody is able to have therapists that look like them. Not
Mhm.
everybody in the community is able to go to a healing space or a group and see people that look like them, see people that resonate with them. The DMV is a very like one-off kind of place, utopia, where a lot of our community do not get that. And so I'm like, okay, how do we replicate those spaces everywhere? So I kind of devoted my early adult years into suicide prevention and got deeper and deeper in it. And I started working for crisis lines, working for the National Suicide Prevention Line that is now 988, and dedicating my time to like truly understanding like how do we make this more culturally competent. Yeah. So that is definitely what drew me to the mental health field in crisis work. And then I realized like, okay, there's so much here. It's a system like any other system.
Right. Right. And I'm so thankful for your journey, and also you just sharing about, you know, how you were able to arrive to now your career, but also just knowing that your voice, your testimony is for someone else, right? To be able to bring others in. I'm curious to know your clinical approach. Could you talk a little bit about what ACT or CBT and these trauma informed practices that you all who are clinical trained kind of go through, and how that shows up in a session or in counseling or in practices with others?
Yeah. So a lot of my work is about trying to incorporate a lot of multicultural modalities into therapy. Like CBT and DBT are like the traditional ones that you use to kind of like calm down somebody's worry and anxiety and like stabilize someone. It's often used in a lot of hospital programs or outpatient programs, or even for like short-term therapy because you're not sure if you're going to see that client again. However, I really like to be rooted in ACT, which is acceptance and commitment therapy, because what happens with that is it helps me meet my clients where they are in their values. So when life feels really chaotic for them, I'm like, is this a value-based decision for you? Like, and helping them to accept that, okay, if this is, then we can come up with some tools for you to live with that, with the decisions you made, instead of having self-shame for that. And then it's like, okay, well, yeah, I did this because I strongly believe in this. I strongly value this, and this is my presence. So if you value family and you made a family-based value that others may not agree with, it's like we can come to terms with accepting that, which I feel like is important for a lot of communities of color, because we have values outside of individualism. So.
Right. That's so good. And a lot of that is also rooted in what you mentioned earlier about like our religious identity and how we're socialized to believe certain things, right, about ourselves. But then when we get older and realize that that really isn't how I'm feeling, or not true to my identity now. And then, from my own personal experience, then a crisis happens because now you're like, there's not alignment anymore, right?
Exactly.
And so I appreciate that. And it's called acceptance.
Yep, acceptance and commitment therapy.
I love that. So, what are some misconceptions or common myths about suicide that we often find ourselves challenging, or that you often find yourself that is challenging in your work?
Ooh, that is a great question. Some of the myths that happen is, I think there's a common one now because I'm on the TikTok streets scrolling.
Okay. Yeah.
A common one now is that you can't help anybody that doesn't want to be helped, which is it's true and it's not true. I think a lot of times people forget to listen to the hidden messages, because a lot of the people that we say, oh, they didn't want to be helped, or they shooed me off or something like that. It's like, we forget that people receive love differently, right? So just because you took a little bit of time out of your day to go talk to your loved one because they were in distress, we forget the follow-up and the aftercare. So a big thing right now is that having a community means being inconvenienced a little bit. Like you have to
Mm,
put yourself out there to do it. So if you have a loved one that's in crisis or is expressing suicidal thoughts, having that team, that village, which a lot of people don't have anymore, which is this huge crisis, um, is really important in establishing like continuity of care, like making sure that our people are continually feel loved and cared for. So that's why I say I'm like, yeah, to an extent, right? Because like,
mm,
are you really listening to them, or are you just listening to them complain? Like, if this
mm,
person doesn't, it's like, oh, you need to get outside, and you take them to like a club or a brunch, right? And you know that
mm,
person doesn't like the brunch, and you're putting alcohol in front of a suicidal person, which makes them more suicidal, like because alcohol is a depressant. It's not helping them.
wow.
So it's like really, really meeting someone where they are. So that's one of the common myths I'm seeing in our society. 'Cause I'm very societal based. Like in
Yeah.
our society right now is this myth that like, oh, you can't help. It's like, are you really listening to the people around you? Like
Mm.
that is a common myth.
You mentioned like hitting messages and listening, right? So like how do you see the unseen? Like without like
Mhm.
being, I know that was good, right? Clock that.
That is good.
But like how do you actually see that without being evasive or pry or feel like you're prying? Like if you really do truly care for a friend who has expressed what you just shared, but like as a person on the outside, you just don't know what to look for, right? So like,
Mhm.
how do you do that?
I think right now, what a lot, I've seen this in a couple of friendships that I have developed recently, because I tell my all my friends I will fight you about you.
Mm,
Like I'm going to go to bat, because if I see something's off, like not in my frame of you being off, but if you have introduced yourself to me as this, and I see you on your best days as this, and I see you, I'm okay, but I'm getting in days or something like this, but I see you slowly falling off the wagon, I'm going to address it. And I'm be like, nah, that's not it, because on this day 2 months ago I saw you like this, so what's really going on, and I know this happened to you. So it's
mm,
really like paying attention to your level of friendships, because some people be like, oh my god, I just saw her and she was so happy, but she also just went through this. Like, we those little things, it's like, okay, but did you really check in with them? Did you
mm,
really do this? um Really checking the intensity of your friendship. And even if you're not that the most intense level of friend, because you can't be a 100% friend to everybody. I know there's different levels of friendship. Do they have a friend in their circle that's like that? And can you reach out to them and be like, hey, I noticed something. Is there something I'm missing? Can I help you or support you in supporting them in any way? Because I have messaged other friends about a friend before
yeah,
and
yeah.
saying, hey, I saw so and so, they weren't doing too well. Have you seen them recently? It's like, okay, good, good to know. Okay, I'll leave it alone.
I love that approach, this community care, like
Mm-hmm.
and being observant and being also cautious of how you approach the conversation, but yet still being observant. It's a thin line of like not wanting to offend, not
Exactly.
wanting to do too much, but enough to say I tried, right? And
Uh-huh.
and enough for that person to know that someone is looking out for them. And I think that that is quite important, especially during this day and time. I just to kind of backtrack a little bit, how has your identity and your lived experiences kind of helped shape your professional career, but also your educational studies? Like how within doctoral, where we like to talk about positionality a lot, and
Yes.
and all of these paradigms that impacts our research. So I'm very interested in knowing like how has your experience through life influenced and shaped who you are today?
Honestly, I got to give credit to my dad for that. He used to
Mm,
always say, be the change you want to see, but also be the person that you needed when you were younger. Those were two. And also, don't be like me, be better than me. So he always was very honest. Like, I'm not the example. You can do so much better, but also like everything that you've been through, turn it into something positive. So when I was going through all the stuff with my mother's side of my family and my mom and the abuse in her household, I was very much like, okay, how can I change this narrative for other people in the community who have had this experience? And I've been fortunate enough to find other communities in my adult life when I thought that I was isolated, to do that. And that's really shaped my work. I'm like, okay, somebody needs it on a bigger level. And even if I'm not the person to do all the things to change it, let me help grab a group of people who are like-minded and help inspire others who may be feeling the same way, or even that little bit of planting the seed in it. So it's definitely shaped a lot of who I am. And I don't claim to know everything. I'm always learning, and that's part of being a human, but also a counselor. Is there's always something new. There's always a new thought, always a new perspective, and that's why I love this work, because there's always a new phenomenon in each generation, with each culture that changes over time, especially in the time that we're living in. Things have changed in the world of mental health post-COVID. So that has shaped how we now do counseling, and how we now do mental health, and how I now perceive my career. But I love that, because there's always something new to learn.
Yeah. I'm also curious about the tools and strategies that you may offer or recommend for Black men and women who are navigating anxiety or depression, and even burnout, right? Like, I know that there's a lot of folks currently right now who are just simply tired, right? And there's varying levels of tiredness, right? Some people might be at the end of the spectrum of tiredness, where it's like, I'm checking out, right?
Yes.
And some people may just be, I just need a day to refresh, to restore, whatever that looks like. And so I'm just curious to know what tools or strategies you may offer or suggest for those who are experiencing those things.
Honestly, I'm going to harp on community all day, but community also looks different to different people. Before I found my community externally, I found a group of people online where even if I just commented and I visited their page and I knew they were okay, and I was like, oh, I just love this for you because I feel like I grew up with you on the internet. Like, that's something, right? Like, that's a connection. Also, just, I personally believe that you were not meant to navigate anything alone. Like, the whole stay ready so you don't have to get ready doesn't just apply when you're like ready to turn up. It applies in the sense that your rest, your peace, pouring into yourself is important. You are your biggest asset. So rest is essential. It's not an option. It's not something you do when you get tired. I decide, I'm like, okay, I know I got energy for about 3 major things a day. And then that's all I could fit in. And then it got to be moved to the next day. So whether it's reading for this class, doing something for my graduate assistantship, or talking to a friend that I haven't talked to in a while, because I know if I talk to my friends from Chicago, we're going to be on the phone for at least 2-3 hours. So, that's a big thing that I got to do in a day. And it's like, all right, I'm done. I'm done. And then I got friends in DC calling me like, oh, what are you doing? I'm in the bed because I done done my 3 things a day. I'm dead. I'm happy. My wife is a barber. And I love the camaraderie that the men in the barbershop have, and even with her. And it's just watching the clients come in and speak and just have this kinship together, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to be a formal therapy space. And I'm looking at the Black man here. Like, it doesn't have to be a formal space. Those little bit pockets of joy and feeling good and connecting with someone can lead to something more, right? Because
Mhm.
I've seen the people at the shop go from like, oh, you're cutting hair, and then we're exchanging numbers because you're a bartender, and can you bartend the party for me, or
Yeah.
make something, and then we're helping each other, and now we're like family, right?
Mhm.
All of those spaces are really really important. And then just little mini wellness tools, like of course there's the all the hotlines and the organizations, and even your podcast, like, right, it's all a safe space to just fill your cup up so
Yeah.
you can feel better navigating the world.
Absolutely. I love this thread that of community and moving away from individualistic like isolations, right? Doing things in because I think that's when you are isolated and when you are alone, that's when those thoughts can seep in and
Mm-hmm.
you start to feel like, well, what is there to live for if I'm always by myself or I don't have anyone to lean on, right? And so and I also think that being in an American context sometimes does
Yes.
promote loneliness, right?
Yes.
Because when you go to other places and you visit globally, you'll notice like African cultures are all about the village. They're all about
Mm-hmm.
community rituals and being able to lean on one another, right? Even we're in Hispanic Heritage Month. Shout out to our Latino and
Yes.
Chicano brothers and sisters, but like even with that, right? When you think about like Latino communities, like they're very family oriented and so I think, there are some things that work against us and work for us here in America, but we have to really work hard uh,
Exactly.
to really promote that communal aspect in such
Mm-hmm.
individualistic and capitalistic, right, world that we're in.
And
Yes.
historically, that's how we've gotten through.
Mhm.
Like that is literally how we've gotten through. Like
Yeah.
the pockets of community and spaces to where we were supposed to be oppressed. Like no, everybody doesn't think the same way. However,
Right.
it's like if I know that Miss Shirley down the street like cooks every week and I can pay her to help me feed my kids, like we're all in this together. It's
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. I also love how when we talked about an icebreaker about our story, I sound track and you mentioned my house and how you um, um, harped on how it makes you feel and feel confident. So I'm interested in knowing what role does like storytelling or even media through books or music and journaling or whatever it may be, plays or movies, whatever it may be. Um, what role does this play in promoting healing
Yes.
and creating an outlet for those who might be feeling depressed or in a hard place? Like what role does storytelling and media's play in that role?
I know a lot of people don't like formal journaling, but one of the things that I love to use with my clients is having them tell their stories.
Mm,
And whether that be written or verbal, like I'll just ask them like, "Oh, what about your mom?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, you're trying to get to like the root of my anxiety." It's like, no, I'm just trying to understand how the people around you shape the views you have.
mm,
And I think the stories have a role in helping us understand ourselves and helping with that, like those negative thoughts. It's like, oh well, now I know why. Like I didn't know like where my thoughts were coming from until I started to draft my narrative of like, okay, like, and then I met my wife, and she comes from a family full of love
mm,
and confidence building. And I'm like, I've never seen that before. Like, where'd you get these people from? Um, and she's just like, why do you say that about yourself? But it was said
mm,
to me, like it was said to me that I like, oh, you're this, you're that, like you got to think like this and you got to do that. And she's like, all you have to do is be yourself. And I'm like, oh well, let me figure out what that means when I'm not fulfilling someone else's expectation of what I need to be.
yeah.
So it really holds a huge space because it goes back to the values, right, of acceptance and commitment therapy. But there's also a framework of narrative therapy that's often used with communities of color as well, is where you get to tell your own story in the hopes of healing. because then you get to see oh, that doesn't make sense. Like what my grandma said about me doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Or what my mom said, or what that girl in third grade said doesn't make sense. Like I can create my own story for myself moving forward.
I love that. Yeah, reclaiming my story, reclaiming
Mm-hmm.
that narrative is important. Thinking about workplaces and educational spaces, again, considering the climate that we're in, and even community spaces, how can we better support, or how can they better support suicide prevention, especially for Black and underrepresented folks in our communities?
To be honest, it really makes an impact. The not just I always say, like some people say, like, oh, you need the representation. It's more than the representation. It's about the
Absolutely.
mindset. Like
Yes.
truly, you need somebody who's very committed to doing the work that reflects the community that they're serving in, not just perpetuating the system over and over. It's like, hey, I'm coming in here because I was born and raised and I know these people. These are people
Mm,
that I live, work, and worship with. And I want to provide more effective care. And that goes for like EAP services for different workspaces. That goes in trainings, not just coming in. When I was working at the Trevor Project, and I love that organization down, and
mm,
it's still some of my best colleagues that I've had to this date. There were times where we would have trainings that were led by people that did not fit the population of the
mm,
workers that were providing the services on the day-to-day basis. People that never worked on the front lines, people that didn't know the demographics of the people that were reaching out, that was really just worried about the numbers and the bottom line. Like, this is how you do better at this. And I'm just like, realistically, as someone who has worked overnight her entire time at that space, I'm like, this doesn't reflect. I was like, this doesn't reflect my team, and I need y'all to do better. So,
wow.
and just standing up and being very grounded in that.
Mhm,
But also, like, if I hope that one day workplaces will provide like mental health days
mhm.
for folks to just be able, or disregard like the stigmas of taking a day off. But I also want to tell our community of folks to please take your days. Those days are
Yeah.
given to you. If you can't, take your days because
Mhm.
your rest is really important. But yeah, it goes very much beyond representation. It goes about the knowledge and the support and the vulnerability of the people who are serving these workspaces for our people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm over here doing like this. I'm like, absolutely. Like I could not agree with you anymore. Like you are hitting the nail on the head. I appreciate your transparency and your light, and I'm just so grateful to be in community with you. I know this work can be emotionally heavy. So how do you protect your own mental wellness and prevent burnout while doing it?
Well, that is a great question.
Mm,
I have since like healing my and regulating my own mental health, I have been doing a lot at one time. I've learned to pace myself. There are times where like when I was moving here, I finished my master's program and got my licensure. And then, literally, the week after, I started this doctoral program.
wow.
And everyone's like, that seems like a lot. But I had 6 months to really prepare for that. Like,
Mm,
after I got the acceptance letter, I really like was going over things and was very calculated in what I was doing. So I know my busy times in advance. So
mm,
it looks like I'm always on the go, but I have a lot of times dedicated for restorative practices where I like color. I'll make a meal. I'll be like, oh, this is great. I'll
mm,
invite some friends over. But I also take care of I go outside, I breathe. Like sometimes it's nice to just go get connected in nature.
yeah.
And I'm not a big nature person because I don't like bugs, but even just going outside and just seeing people move makes me
Hmm.
happy. Like just people watching and like having a picnic in the park with my friends and just looking like, oh, that's cool. It just makes me happy. And then I go back. Or even if I'm in a coffee shop, just listening to people interact. And then I've become very comfortable in my boundaries lately as well.
Yes.
When I'm honest with my people. I'm off the clock mentally. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you could talk to me. I love you and know that I love you, but I'm in la la land right now. Like, I'm not mentally here. Or even if I'm like, oh, I have a lot of papers coming up, I can't call you this week because I do have friends in a lot of different places. And very thankful for that. Just being honest about where I am at all times to ensure that I don't lose the community that I fought so hard to get.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm right there with you. Boundaries is important. You can go out like you used to and not being able to travel or see your friends or family as frequent as you would like because, you know, there might be a whole bunch of papers coming up or you might just simply be tired and you need to rest. And so I think that, and then once you find out the folks who are going to respect those boundaries, those are the folks who are truly your community members, right? Because they not take it personally. They understand that, oh, you're doing this to take care of yourself. So I get it. So for someone who is listening that may be struggling right now or may know someone who is struggling, what words of hope or encouragement would you want to share with them today?
I just want to say, you know, you're not a burden. Your story is still being told. Your story is being written every day, every hour. And even if you got to take it minute by minute, the world is better with you in it, even if you can't feel it right now. And pain is what a lot of people try not to tell you is pain is a natural part of life. There's more boring days. I think Michelle Obama said it best. There is a lot more boring blah days than there are high dopamine, like, oh, like this is great. We turning up. Life is so great. You just see people's highlight reels. You are living in a day to day. So let's find a way to be okay with the day to day. And there's support, and you don't have to carry this alone.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you so much. How can people follow your work with your collective, and how can people keep up with you and maybe even if you have sessions available, maybe even sign up and just kind of see what you're doing?
Yes. So I'm currently, I will be accepting new clients starting at the later half of this year, currently getting set up and trying to ease into it with my my doctorate program, excuse me. But also I kind of document my PhD journey and things like that. And we'll be starting a website for my collective pretty soon. Just trying to plug Kindred, just a space to highlight people of color and also highlight research done by people of color. So Tay, when you're done with your dissertation, come on over here.
Absolutely.
But you can follow me at First Gen Doctor on Instagram and TikTok, or my LinkedIn at Erica McSwain. I love talking to new people. So if anybody wants to share their stories, I will be open.
Love that. And I'll make sure that information is in the link below. And I just want to say to the future Dr. McSwain, thank you for being here, not just here with Brother Breathe, but here on this earth, contributing the good work that you're doing. And your life matters and your work matters, your research matters. And I can't wait to read and partake and to cite you, right? The citations matter. Right. Yes. And so I'm just so grateful for your time. And and I just want folks to plug in, be sure to follow all of the links in the chat below or in the link in the bio below. And remember that what you're going through, you can simply just breathe through it. You are not alone, and we are here to support you. All right. You all take it easy and be great.